Cool. Okay, great. Thanks everybody for coming. Hope you guys are having a great week. My topic this week, I'm going to be talking about blogging and the importance of having a blog and what it does for your search engine optimization for your website, for building your expertise in your industry. So all of those things are important components of having a blog and what it can do. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat or pop them in the questions box, and I will try to answer them. I think this is probably going to be a two-part webinar, because as I went through the slides, and the things that I had, it's going to take more than 30 minutes. So I'll probably do part 2 next week, but I'll keep you guys informed on that. So let's go ahead and get the screen share going. And we should be good to go. Cool. Okay. So there's a lot of misconceptions about blogs. A lot of people even don't really understand what a blog is, where it resides. So I'm going to talk about a few of those things in addition to some good tips and techniques for blogs. Basically, a blog, according to the dictionary, is a regularly updated website or web page, typically run by an individual or small group, that is written in an informal or conversational style. So keep that in mind as we go through, because the informal conversational style really is a key piece to this. Yeah, a blog is going to be educational, it's going to be informational, but it also needs to be informal, and it needs to be depending on what you're doing. Obviously, I know some of you on the webinar today, the informal is not going to appeal to the audience, your audience. It needs to be a little more directed to the particular audience that you're trying to reach. So keep that in mind. I know that you have to sort of build that content around your audience. Think of a blog as a fixed newsletter that's permanently on your website. It's a place for new information, for announcements, and for value content, educational content that lets people know that you're the expert in the industry. So that's really what your blog is going to be all about. It's the source of content. It's fresh content for search engines. Google loves new content. Google loves blogs, because they want to see a site continue to evolve and to continue to grow. You know, when if you create a website and it just sits there and nothing ever happens after you create it, you go, okay, I've got my website done, bing, bang, I'm all done, I'm all through, I don't have to do anything else. That's wrong. It's not going to be effective that way. And so as such, you need to be, your blog, your website needs to continue to evolve, and the blog is what will do that for you. In addition, it increases the opportunity to rank for keyword phrases. The more posts you create, the more chances you have. Our whole goal is to, again, reach the audience that is following us for the keywords that we produce. So if we're talking about, if we're talking about investing, for example, or if we're talking about computer repair, well, those are keywords that we try to rank for, but we also want to look at further down the line. So we'll take computer repair for an example. Let's, rather than try to rank the blog for computer repair, we would try to rank for virus or malware or spyware spam opportunities in 2020. So get specific, because that's really going to give us a better opportunity than trying to rank for a major term. And that's what's called a long tail keyword. And we'll talk about that at a later point. It positions you as the expert or as an influencer. People want to do business with people they perceive to be an expert. And I've used the example before, and I'll use it again. If you're sick, you've got something wrong, disease-wise, and you have the option of going to the local urgent care or going to the Mayo Clinic. Where are you going to go? Well, you're probably going to go to the Mayo Clinic, right? Money's no object. You're going to go where the experts are. The experts have more degrees on the wall. Well, that's what your blog does. The more you position yourself as an expert, the more highly credible you are, and the less people will shop competition wise and choose you because they understand you have the expertise. And that goes further into the trust level. 58% of consumers trust editorial content from blogs. So we're building that trust level as well. For B2B marketers, business to business, people that use blog get 67% more leads than businesses that don't. Small businesses that blog get 100%, 126% more lead growth. So that's, again, the content that we're creating makes a big difference in how we're perceived. 81% of US consumers trust information from blogs. Websites that have a blog have 434% more indexed pages. What's an indexed page? It's a page that Google recognizes and delivers content from when somebody does a search. So you have more pages indexed, you've got more opportunities for Google to share what you're doing, and more opportunities to be found. Companies that have that blog have 55% more web traffic. Again, more traffic equals more dollars in our pocket. And 47% of consumers read 3 to 5 blog posts before making a buying decision. Now, do they consciously go and say, I need to look for a blog that tells me that? No, they don't. What they're looking for is they're doing a Google search, and what comes up most of the time are blog articles, because again, Google loves new content. They love fresh content, and blogs are timely, and that's what Google likes to serve up. How often should we blog? Well, small businesses, 1 to 10 employees, can double their sales leads by increasing their blog posts from 3 to 5 times a month to 6 to 8. And I know, again, keep in mind, these numbers are going to get a little bit scary, and you're going to go, oh my gosh, I can't do 1. How am I going to do, 6 a month? I got that. And I understand I understand the frustration. We all have that same idea, but I'm just trying to give you some ideas about the numbers of the importance of increasing content. This one really kind of blows your mind. Businesses that blog more than 16 times a month generate 5 times more web traffic than those that post once a week, basically 4 times a month. So 5 times more traffic by generating 1 every other day, basically. So that's a lot, and that's a lot of content, and most small businesses have a hard time doing that. So I'm not advocating you go out and try to even shoot for that, because that's not realistic for most of us, that we just don't have that time, even if it's 3 to 5 hours to do a blog. But more is better. So the more content we can create, the better. Same thing with this. If we, people that blog at least once a week get a 77% boost in their traffic, as opposed to businesses that don't. So again, just a few numbers, just sort of get you thinking, get the juices flowing. Where can you do a blog? Well, there's a lot of there are a lot of places that are geared for blogs. Blogger, Blogspot, those are both Google-owned properties. Tumblr is an independent blog platform, has a lot of popularity. Wix and Weebly also have blogs built into those types of freebie sites, as well as Squarespace, and then WordPress.com. Those are all options for creating a blog. But if you really want to be serious about your blog, with the downside of any of these on this list, you do not control the content here. If one of these posts places that decide they want to close the doors or change policies or whatever, you could potentially lose all of your content. So for that reason, WordPress is my choice. I like WordPress. I've been using WordPress for over 10 years now. I think it's probably closer to 12. WordPress was really geared initially as a blog platform. Now it is used by millions of websites, and it is it's the primary medium I use to create a website. So whether it's a blog website or just informational, WordPress to me is the most powerful tool that there is. It's readily available on most servers. So any place you have a hosting account, whether it be HostGator or GoDaddy or DreamHost or Bluehost, any of those guys, WordPress is always an option, and it is always free to install on a server. It's easy to use. The learning curve is fairly shallow, although some of the themes get a little bit complicated, but again, it's still pretty easy to work with and use with a little bit of tutorial instruction. You've got thousands of different free designs, as well as probably a lot more than that paid designs. In my particular theme, I use one particular theme for all of my sites because it has extreme versatility. It is not a free theme. It is a paid theme, but it's like $80 a year. So I'm not, no big cost there, but it does give you a tremendous amount of versatility, flexibility with that. It's scalable, so it can grow as you need. That's the problem with a lot of the sites, especially things like I was looking at a site for a GoDaddy site somebody created, and they had 5 pages that they were allowed. 5. Well, if you want 6, well, you got to go to our super plan, which is another, which is $1,000 a year or whatever, just so you want to. I was working with another client. In fact, it was one that Pam sent me. That had a shopping cart, and she was allowed 10 products in her shopping cart. And if you wanted 11, oh, sorry, it's not available. You can't grow and can't scale up. So WordPress lets you do that. It's portable. So if you're not happy with the server that you're on, maybe you don't like GoDaddy and you decide, hey, I've had enough of them, I want to move someplace else. You can easily move it to any web host, pretty much any web host. Relatively simple. I moved one recently for a client that reached out to me for a car club that she was doing the website for, and she said, I'm sick of working with the G word, GoDaddy, and I want to move it someplace else. And so, how hard is that to do? And I said, give me login to wherever you want to go, and the login for the old. I said, it's pretty simple. The mechanics for me to do it took about 30 minutes to move. Now it took about 12 hours for the site to move over because they had 40, 50 gigabytes of pictures in there or something, just huge site. It's the longest one, the largest one I've ever moved. And it took, so as a result, from moving from one to the other, it took quite a bit of time, but it still moved without a hitch. Now, when I talk, one of the common mistakes people make is they say WordPress. Okay, well, I'm going to go to WordPress.com and I'll create a site there, and it's free, but that's not what I'm talking about. WordPress.com is much like Blogger and any of those other guys. There are limitations. It is a free site, but it has limited functionality. You can't put on as many plugins. You can't do the shopping carts and a lot of the different features that you want to do. So as a result, what I'm talking about is a self-hosted installation of WordPress on a domain that you set up and on a web host like GoDaddy, HostGator, DreamHost, and all those guys, any of those. That means that you pay for the domain name and you hook it up and you pay a monthly service charge for the hosting. So, and most of those guys are minimal. I mean, I've seen them as low as $8 or $9. Most of the time you can expect to pay like 15 to 20 a month. You own the content as long as you maintain the hosting plan and as long as you renew the domain, it's yours. They're not going to take it away from you. You control the site. So again, you keep the hosting plan active and you renew your domain every year. The content is still there. I've got content on my Ninja Marketing Dojo site, goes back to 2000, 10. So it's not going anywhere. HostGator is one that I use a lot of. I also use a site called A2 Hosting. Both of them I have affiliate links with. So if you're interested, I can direct you that way. I've been using HostGator for quite a few years and have been relatively happy, and they've got really good customer service. So if you're looking for a change, let me know. I'll be happy to point you in a direction. What else can I do? I was sitting across from a client one day, and he was talking about it. We were talking about SEO, and he said, well, what can I do to grow my, to get better ranking? And I said, well, you need to do a blog. And this was pretty much his reaction. He's like, oh, his head sunk. He kind of almost laid it on the table. And when I was afraid you were going to say that, because, we don't have the time. What do I write? Who's going to read the stuff? Who wants to read the stuff I write? I mean, those are all legitimate things that we try to address. And so, but there are, if you create a plan, of what you're going to cover, what you're going to write about, you'll have the audience. People will find your content if it's valuable, and either entertaining or educational. I have a client that she writes a blog weekly. She's an author, but she's, it's in her 60s. Her husband, of many, many years, decided to divorce her for a younger woman. And so she writes a blog every week about her experience as single, or her yoga, or her dogs, or her family, or whatever, or travels, and brilliantly done. So if you guys are looking for, ladies, especially if you're looking for a fun read, look at wineandcereal.com. She's a fun lady, but she's got great content, and she gets good readership out of it. But some ideas for what you can blog about. What are your customers or clients asking? What are some things that you wish they knew? So any questions that they maybe have, anything that you wish they knew about your industry. This is an opportunity for you to educate them, and again, to showcase your expertise and your trust level. It's a good spot for what's new in your industry. So keep people informed of new changes, new things that are happening, trends that are happening, things that you're seeing, things that you're doing differently. What's new in your business is also, again, what's the things that you're doing? Are you making any kind of changes in the way that you approach your business? Are you offering new services? Are you focusing on new markets? Those are great opportunities for blog articles. In this case, do it yourself, DIY, that kind of thing. Those are always good opportunities for you to engage as well. So, so the question was asked, do SEO or Google searches tap into articles published on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is one of those places where they do have a connection to the algorithms with Google. So it does have, from a standpoint of SEO, it does not really improve SEO, but from a standpoint of building connections, LinkedIn is a great place to share your blog content with. The other thing that it does do, if you post your content, a link to your content in LinkedIn, then you're going to drive them back to your website, which does improve your SEO. The longer you can get people to stay on your website, the better it is for your search engine rankings. So kind of a roundabout way, but yes, in essence, LinkedIn does have positive impact on your search engine optimization. You can do interviews and reviews, another good source for ideas, and then how-tos and trends, the ultimate guides, anything like that. People love lists, and you're going to see some stats on that in just a moment. So how-tos are a great source for blog ideas. So you have two choices. You can create content, or you can curate content. Creation is content that you write. Curation is other people's stuff that you pull over and share. So what are the advantages of each and the disadvantages? Well, content creation, obviously it adds the SEO value to your website because it's your content, it's original content. So that's the biggest source for SEO value. Builds your status as an expert. We've already talked about that. Builds your brand. It grows traffic to your website. Those are all positives, and it expresses your voice. So you get people to sort of get to hear who you are, what you're saying in the way that you present it. And in my blog articles, I tend to be a little bit snarky. Sometimes I can tend to be a little sarcastic or, or whatever, but I try to do it fun. I want to make sure it's entertaining and entertaining for people. Otherwise they won't read it. When you curate content, you're grabbing other people's stuff. So it's a great source for quality information. It adds value to social media, sort of bridges the gap. So let's say that you don't have time to do, more than one blog article in a week or a month or whatever. You can bridge that gap with curated content, and it's very time efficient. The problem is you get no SEO value for curated content. If you grab somebody else's post and put it in your blog, Google goes, hey, this was posted 3 weeks ago by this site originally, and so you didn't write it, you didn't create it, you don't get any credit for it. So just bear in mind, it needs to be your content, not somebody else's. That's the advantage of it. So, you can utilize the industry thought leaders, you can trade publications and what's being shared on social media. Those are places that you can find that curated content, but you really want to start by creating your own. And creating your own content starts with a great headline. And that's the hook. That's what gets people to, to listen to what you're offering. So when you have, when you start with a good content, 8 out of 10 people are going to read the headline, whereas maybe 2 only read the rest of the article. So having that headline is a great headline is an important piece of the puzzle. A good headline is 6 to 13 words. That's usually the sweet spot that attracts the highest amount of traffic. Numbered lists get higher readability. 36% of people prefer lists based on or list-based headline. So having that list is a much preferred topic or way of to do a headline. 5 reasons why. You want to use keywords in the title. So again, the keywords are what tells Google what this is about. It also needs to indicate to your audience what it's about. Use strong adjectives and verbs. Use aggressive language, not passive. You want to have powerful terminology in there. So in other words, by using a strong verb, using a strong adjective, absolutely the best way to, the 5 ways to grow your business. So again, the action type of verbs. You want to tell readers what to do. You want to give them a call to action inside of the headline as well. So you want them to sort of tell them what they need to do to whatever it is to improve their business. Solve a problem. That's another good headline. 5 common problems, 5 common mistakes people make with their computer antivirus. Just as a result, 5 ways you can use 5 ways you can use promotional products to grow your business. So topic like that. Have fun with alliteration. So if you're a little bit poetic and a little creative and you can utilize the alliteration, that's another good thing to do. How to, whatever task you want to do that produces a rewarding benefit. So how to create effective blogs that grow your traffic. Okay, so the task versus rewarding benefit. Tell secrets. People love secrets. The secret to growing your business. So those are, again, that's another way to do that. And why? Why blog? You're asking a questions, you get people to thinking about that. Ask questions and use punctuation. So make sure you utilize the punctuation inside of your blog article, because again, that reinforces the question that you're asking. Some more headline ideas. Give me 3 months and I'll give you a solid digital marketing plan. Something along that lines. The lazy way to blogging. We all want the easy route, right? We want the easy button. So that would be that. You don't have to be blank to be desired results. So you don't have to be a ninja to grow your, to improve your search engine ranking. Blank ways to blank. People love 5 ways to effective blogging. So again, the importance of, the content of, so many ways, the numbered list, that's important. So once you've got your blog article, then where do you go there? The next thing you want to do, if you're a fisherman, you know what you want to do. You get a nibble, you set the hook, right? The first paragraph must reinforce the headline and entice the reader to read on. I normally, a lot of times when I write a blog article, I'm going to start with the headline and the first sentence or the first paragraph, and then figure out what I'm going to say. I never write the article and then go back and go, okay, got the article written. Now what do I do? No, I don't. You may do that. It may be great for you. For me, I set the hook. I want the bait and the hook. And then I can create the content that reinforces that. So again, that's just my technique, but I find it works really well. Keep it simple. The last thing you want to do is try to get really, is to prove that you're the smartest person in the room and, use big flowery words, because then people are going to go, all right, well, I don't understand a word they said, so I'm just moving on. Throw out grammatical rules. Your 12th grade English teacher is not going to grade your blog. Yeah, you don't want to look like you're a complete doofus and you don't, know how to speak right or use that, but you don't have to write incomplete sentences. You don't have to, your participles can dangle if you want to leave them dangling. It's the way that you talk, the way that you present. Make sure that it's, it's logical and it makes sense, but don't stress about, grammar. And if you make a promise in the header or in the first paragraph or the headline, be sure you answer it in the body, and be sure you answer it in a way that it's obvious you answered it. Because what happens is, people are looking for that promised answer, and it makes me mad when I'm reading through one and going, all right, you said you were going to do this. Where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. And it was so obscurely stuck in there that I went, well, I didn't really find it. So it almost makes you mad. So make sure if you make a promise that it's clear that you answer it. In fact, maybe you even go, so why do you want to blog? Here it is. One more thing I may have it in another slide, but I'll put it in, I'll tell you here anyway. But one of the things that I do is I love bullet point lists. And so if I'm going to do 5 rules, why I want those 5 rules in a bullet point, preferably highlighted or bolded the point, and then so that I make it clear so that if somebody scans it, they can get the answer they're looking for. Draw a clear picture that the reader can identify with. And then write in an F pattern. I did a whole blog on getting an F in reading, because people read in an F pattern. They scan the first line or the top line, first paragraph. They skip about a third of the way down and read that line, and then they skim down the rest of the page. So if you have your article then done in, I know I had another slide on that, use numbered lists or bullet point lists, that's why. As they're scanning, it makes it easy for the points to jump out at them. Now, again, those points then need to be sort of grabbing and, have some appeal to them. But if you've got it where they can scan it, then they're going to scan the points that you want, and it's going to keep them on the site longer and reading more of it. Highlighted in bold and in color. You also want to use pictures to break up the eye. So those are some things that you want to look at when you're putting your blog together. Use quotes indented and italicized. So if you're using quotes, then make them stand out as quotes. Make it obvious they're quotes with either the italics or indented. And then crafting the copy. So avoid hyperbole, fancy words. Don't be tempted by a $20 word when a 10-cent one is handy. That's what I've already said and already mentioned that to you. Don't try to impress them with what you know. Talk to them in a manner that they can communicate with. The magic of you. Put the reader first. You guys have been on my webinars before. You know I preach and preach and preach client-focused, client-centered. So put the reader first. It's not about you. Write the way you speak. Yeah, there again, it's natural language. It makes it a lot easier for you too. If you write the way you speak, it doesn't, it's a much more effective. Don't overstate or exaggerate claims. You want to just capture their attention. Don't try to make them promises that you can't keep or they can't follow. And then tell a story. Storytelling is an important art nowadays. And the better you tell the story, the better you're going to get people to read along and follow along what you're doing. Empathize with your audience. Don't identify. This is another important piece that I caught myself doing this many years back. And I would go, well, I know how you feel. I've had, when I had that problem, or we have a problem, we tend to want to not put people on the spot. So we say, yeah, we have a problem doing X, Y, Z. I really caught myself with that. I'm going, well, if I got that problem, why are you talking to me? Because I don't know how to fix it, right? I got the problem like you. So from that point forward, I use, you have a problem with, and here is how I fix it. So I'm pointing out the fact that, yes, I recognize that there are problems and you have these problems, not me. I don't have them because I know what I'm doing and I'm the expert and I'm telling you how to fix that problem. So don't empathize with them and just to try to soften it. Point it out that, point out to them what you do and how you can help them fix their problems. No weasel words, and things like as little as, or fights, or reduces, those types of things we see in the spammy type of commercials, late night TV commercials. If you want to know how not to do it, watch those guys. Obviously it works, but in written word, and you've got to face these people on a professional basis. So you don't want to be, whatever the guy was, Anthony, whatever it is that does the late night pitch commercials. That's not who you want to be. How much to write? An ideal headline, 6 to 13 words under 70 characters. An ideal blog post is about 1,140 to 1,285 words, about 7 to 10 minutes reading time. So, somewhere in that line, I used to say 450 words was a good, which is about a page. But, the longer post, Google likes the longer content. So the more you can create, the better. The longer the content, the better Google likes it. Your ideal description excerpt needs to be 155 characters. if you're using WordPress, fill in the excerpt. There is a section for that in WordPress, and if you need help doing that, I can help you do that. But you don't want to let it fall to WordPress or to Google to determine what your excerpt is going to be, because they're going to cut off something that may be important. So write your own excerpt and make sure you use that. But something is better than nothing. You know, if you can't write more than once a month, do it. Start there. If you can increase that to twice a month, great. Move to that. The more you do, the better, but just do something, because the blog is such an important component. You know, it is, it's got to be, I left that one out. Google considers 200 words or less thin content. So if you're just doing 200 words or less, Google's going to kind of just go, this is not important. So I'm not. So you're wasting time if you're going to that route. So that's part one, content wise. I'm going to talk about some additional things next week and cover some other aspects of the blog and how it works. But as always, you can reach out to me if you have any questions. Reach out to me at either the phone number or the email address. You can find my website there. I'll have the recording of this posted a little later today on the Ninja Marketing Dojo site. I'm still working on putting together my 90-day plan, boot camp type of setup. So I will let you guys know when that is available and ready to go. But anybody else have any questions? Anything that you would like me to, that didn't make sense to you? All righty. Well, if there aren't any other questions, then you guys have a great rest of the week and have a good weekend. And I will see you guys next week.